At the White Hatter, we're always excited to highlight teens who are using technology in meaningful and creative ways. Earlier this year, we learned about three students from St. Michael's University, right here in Victoria, British Columbia, who launched a tech driven, profitable online tutoring business. And one of the founders has since graduated and moved on to university, but two of these students, Dominic Eli and Ethan Curtis, are still at St. Michael's University and agreed to join us for a conversation with our community. So let's bring them into the conversation. Really excited about this one. Dominic and Ethan, we're glad to have you today. But before we jump in, maybe you can introduce yourselves and maybe let the audience who's watching this know a little bit about who you are, what grades you're in. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to hop into the questions that I have to ask based upon what you guys did earlier this year, specifically about using technology and creating this company of yours. So why don't we start with Dominic first?
Yeah, okay. I'm Dominic. I'm a grade 12 student here at SMU, and outside of our little business, I like to play the cello, and I'm a soccer player. And Ethan. Perfect. So my name's Ethan. I'm also grade 12 at St. Michael's University School, and outside of our little business, I would say I play tennis. And I'm also coincidentally also the head of math club at SMU.
Surprise, surprise, right? So, given what it is that you guys have done. So, if you're ready, I'm just going to dive into the questions. And again, it really doesn't matter to me which one of you answers first. And then we can, go off of each one of you back and forth. And then if one of you want to kind of build upon what your partner just said, that would be great. So, the first question I have for you is what inspired you to start an online tutoring business focused on competitive math rather than simply tutoring individually or in person? Like, what inspired you to do that?
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing for us when we were starting out was where there was a need. So with competitive math specifically, there are much fewer resources than traditional math. Like I'm sure you've heard of resources like Khan Academy that many students
Certainly have.
use. There's not a
Yeah.
Khan Academy for competition math, and it's something that personally I was exposed to very early and had a background in and like training for many years throughout high school. So then when I developed that skill set and Dominic, we had basically this conversation at the back of English class, and we just established that with this skill set and his experience in marketing, we could build something that tailored to that need.
Oh, interesting. Dominic, you want to kind of follow up on that?
Yeah, and I feel like our talking on the online aspect of it, I feel like that gave us, rather than traditional tutoring, like face to face, rather than online, like it gave us a much bigger client platform, which ended up being a great decision for us. Yeah.
Right. So just to clarify, what you share with me, Ethan, is that much like there's spelling bee competitions, there are mathematic competitions, kind of like those spelling
Exactly.
bees. Like
Yeah.
there is, eh?
The biggest one is actually called the American Math Competition, and it's very popular across the world. I believe there's over 100,000 participants each year, probably more than that. And that's why our business is actually named AMC Academy, because that is the most popular contest that everyone's sort of practicing for. And based on that name alone, I think that has generated a lot of interest.
Okay. So the second question I have for you is how did the personal use of your technology, such as your cell phones and laptops, play a role in the development of your business? Like, how did technology become a part of what it is you did, right?
Yeah, well, almost everything we do with our business is through our own personal technology. Like we built our entire company on our laptops and our phones. A lot of our communication to our employees and coaches is through our computers and all our classes take place online. And a lot of our communication when we're not face to face is through our phones. So, and even at the beginning, before everything was automated, some of our communication was through text messages and such. Yeah.
And so you've had full support from your school on doing this, correct?
Yes,
Yes.
yes,
And the
definitely.
technology that you're using, is it your own personal technology or was it the school-based technology that you were using?
Well, for the most part at the beginning, it was definitely our personal technology. So,
Hmm.
for example, to host a class when we were tutoring,
Hmm.
it would just be through Zoom. We would use scheduling platforms like Google Calendar. To communicate with coaches, a lot of the time it was through a platform called Discord. I'm sure you're aware of that. Um, and and yeah, but eventually we sort of decided that it would be better to create a platform tailored to the specific things that we needed. So then we, in collaboration with Jaden Bergernorth, our co-founder who is now graduated, created a website that would allow us to schedule meetings, to create a curriculum for students, and to do things that we couldn't do with conventional resources that we used at the beginning.
So did I just hear you say that you started with Discord? I mean, we hear a lot of people saying Discord, it's this horrible, evil, ugly thing that is rotting the brains of our kids, right? So did I just hear you say that Discord can actually be used in a positive way?
Yeah, I mean, I guess we could describe a little bit more how we used platforms like Discord. For us, it was mainly at the beginning to communicate and to acquire new coaches to coach students. So there are different communities on Discords that are topic specific. And one
Yeah.
of the communities that I was part of when I was preparing for math contests was related to math competitions specifically. So what we did is we made a little announcement on the Discord server, and eventually a lot of coaches were interested, and we found the most qualified ones, and then started pairing them with students to expand our impact beyond just like us tutoring.
Right.
Yeah.
So you use Discord as a way to spread the word to attract other people who are interested in customers.
Not only customers, also coaches themselves, because a lot of the communities had people who were extremely experienced in math competitions.
So was it your partner who graduated who designed the actual web application, or was it the two of you?
It was primarily Jaden and myself who coded the platform. So a lot of the features, like the curriculum development feature that lets our students on their own create their own like AI generated curriculum for their
Yeah.
classes. That is a feature that was sort of the result of seeing that as a need in me having tutored students, and then creating that in collaboration with Jaden to make it an actual feature on our website. That's how most of the features were made, and we used tools and the different skills that we acquired at like AP Computer Science in our high school.
So can you just clarify one more time for me that you guys have implemented or integrated AI into your platform?
Yes, yes, that's
And
correct.
how have you done that?
Specifically, one of the things that we still continue to do is we have something called a consultation. So all of our first students will consult with me, and I will basically identify their weaknesses based on their experience in past contests and their preferred teaching styles, what student archetype they are, what type of problem solver they are based on how they approach problems. And then based on this, originally we created our own curriculum on a Google Doc that basically planned out all of their classes and the order and all the topics that we would cover before the contest date. Now we basically automated all of that by integrating AI. So the student can enter in their own information, their own weaknesses, and their own problem solving tendencies. It'll generate an archetype, and then it will recommend the coach, the corresponding slideshow, and the order of the classes that we teach.
So you mentioned coding there just not too long ago. Was this self-taught coding, or is that something that the school started to teach you and then you took off from there? And that question would be to the both of you.
Well, me personally, I don't have much of a background in coding. That was always something I left more to Ethan and Jaden, but
You know where your strengths are, right? You're the
yeah,
business guy. Yeah, okay.
but I'll let Ethan talk about where he got it.
Yeah. I would say definitely earlier on, like little side projects, like that were sort of just passion projects. Like if you have an idea, I think I remember in grade 7, um, I made this platform where it would just generate like two numbers and then a plus, a minus, or a multiplication symbol, and it would just help you
Yeah.
quiz like your times tables basically. And I think
Right.
just creating passion projects like that is a great way to learn how to code. And then I think Smoo furthered this. Me and Jaden Bergernorth were both in the same computer science class, and
Right.
again, that helped a lot, developing projects, group projects through that class, helped develop our technical skills and stuff like that.
Next question. At what point did you realize that what began as a side hustle had potential to grow into a full-fledged business?
To me, it was when we first hired our coach from MIT. That's when I felt that this was bigger than I ever thought it could be. And that's when I thought that we could go a long way with this. That really got me thinking, got me planning for the future. And that was a big turning point.
So you just said that you hired a coach from MIT.
Yeah.
Did you actually pay him, or did he do it pro bono, or
He's being paid, he's an employee.
and how did you find him?
So, well, I will say, a lot of our work is done contractually. So,
Yeah.
like basically how we find a lot of our coaches. Our first coach was Juan, from Berkeley, and who worked alongside me in teaching some of our earlier clients, and we found, I think both of them just through Discord, just saying, "Hey, is anyone interested in a coaching opportunity for students?" And that helped us connect with a lot of the coaches, and the coach Dominic is describing was also contacted in that way. I would say for me, the first real moment uh, was when um, was watching someone else teach the class that we sort of facilitated. So when we first paired a student and a coach, watching and sort of guiding earlier on the coach through like what the student's background was, and in that way, and then watching them teach and just being a spectator for the first time was probably the moment when at least I realized that we had a real opportunity on our hands.
Awesome. So once again, at the beginning, you used technology, Discord, to find people to help build your business again. So once again, you were using technology in a positive way to create a better experience and a better company, correct?
Yes.
Exactly.
Next question. How did you divide roles between yourselves? I think I already know what the answer is, just talking to you guys right now. And why did you choose marketing for one founder and tutoring for others?
Yeah, so I would say why I ended up being in marketing is I would before AMC Academy, I was always interested in business. I took AP macroeconomics, I took accounting, I tried to explore as many parts of business as possible. And then when I had this conversation with Ethan, I was like, wow, this could be a great way to expand on my knowledge. I had no clue how far it would go, but I feel like I've gained a lot of experience through it. And Ethan, want to talk about why you took
Now,
the
just before you go on, were you and Ethan friends before this happened?
Yes.
Definitely.
Or okay, and
Yes.
where did this when did this first conversation take place? Well, like, was it over dinner? Was it while you were watching or playing, a Fortnite, or like when did that first discussion happen?
I actually remember it quite vividly. I believe it was at the back of English class, when we were supposed to be.
So, in other words, instead of in English class doing stuff from English, you guys were talking business.
Well, maybe during
Oh,
the
come on. Yeah, that's what you guys
breaks.
were doing. I get it. I get
Yeah.
it.
I remember it so well, that conversation.
And so again, from a business standpoint, you each knew what your strengths were, so it was kind of like a Lego approach, right? Because you each brought something to the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, next question. What were the biggest challenges you faced early on while scaling from one student to a larger pool?
Yeah, so I feel like this definitely pertains to marketing. And at the beginning, we had no systems in place. It was word of mouth. I feel like our first our first client, we got to our second client from them hearing about it from the first client. And then a lot of our, like, when we didn't have systems in place, it was all SEO and getting clicks on our website, which is not a great way of getting clients.
Right.
And then eventually we started running ad campaigns and social media and branching out that way. And eventually it's kind of a snowball effect. Like, the more clients you get, the faster it grows.
So where did you get the funding at the beginning to do something like this? Because that's not free, right? Like, you had, like, where did you get the money to do this?
Yeah.
Mm.
So initially we had no funding. So
Yeah.
that's why some of our initial rates were like $15 an hour or $10 an hour for teaching, and that didn't even include the preparation it took for the classes themselves.
Right.
And then once we had a little bit of income, then we purchased, for example, Zoom Premium, and then with that we could teach a few more students, and then leverage resources like have our own domain name, or then we purchased our own email address. And so it really went from the ground up, just taking the funds that we got from our first few students, and then scaling that up so that we could be more professional, have more tools, and obviously charge higher rates for students.
Awesome. Next question. In what ways has running an online business changed your perspective on school, learning, and your own academic goals? And that question will be geared to both of you.
Yeah, Ethan, do you want to start on that one, or?
Yeah, I would definitely say academically, it hasn't changed much. Like, we're both student athletes. We both play our respective sports, and we both have extracurriculars outside of business. I would say the biggest thing is just compartmentalization and time management, because it's hard. Like, things come up even during school that have to do with the business that we need to tend to, like, in a short period. So I would just say just being more organized. I think it made both of us a lot more organized students.
Dominic?
Yeah, and I feel like it's really flipped my perspective from, like, it's shown me a little bit of, I hate to say it, but like the real world. Like, it's taken me a little bit out of that student mindset, and it showed me what, like, we can accomplish if we put our minds to it, like, and really invest in something.
Yeah, I would actually just elaborate that a little bit. I remember earlier on, in grade 11 in November, just before winter break, we had Dominic, myself, and Jaden Bergenorth in a call, and we made in 2 hours this comprehensive document with everything we wanted to achieve in the next 2 months that we were nowhere near. And I think somehow we managed to achieve most of the things on that list. And for both of us, I think that was like a revealer that we could pretty much do anything that we put our minds to by leveraging technology.
Yeah, I think in business they call it grinding, right? Because
Yeah.
that's what you guys did, right? You had to make it work. But the next question is, how do you balance school? It actually segues nicely. How do you balance school responsibilities with operating a growing company? Because you just said that things can come up during the school day. Like, do you have this agreement with your teachers if you go, can I just excuse myself for a couple minutes so I can deal with an issue? Like, how are you finding that balance? And is the school like providing that balance?
Yeah, so it can be challenging. We're both very busy students. We're both very academically engaged and engaged in extracurricular. I'm like a very committed musician, and we're both athletes. We both play our sports. So when stuff comes up, it can be difficult. And sometimes it does have to be the case of our academic priorities are over the business priorities.
Right.
Yeah, and I would also say, like, for example, for consultations, there are ways to sort of limit how things from other students interfere with school. So for our Calendly consultation, we have it specifically scheduled so no one can book a meeting during school times, obviously. And different small things like that really help a lot.
So, can you just both of you build a little bit more on what exactly the business does, right? Like, I'll be talking about, or I talked a little bit about it in the introduction, but maybe kind of build upon that a little bit more. Like, what is your target group? What is it? What does it do? How big is it now? Like, is it still going? What's happened to your third partner who's decided to go off to university? Like, how dare they do that,
Yeah.
right? So, maybe just fill us in a little bit more.
Yeah, we're still very, very strong. I mean, we're both applying to university right now, which is stressful, but we're still managing to keep most of everything intact. I would say what our business is, it was initially a tutoring business that paired students to tutors, and some of us were also tutors ourselves. But it has evolved into more of a features company. So now we make a lot of the features that our coaches use to coach students. So, for example, the AI curriculum generator is one of those features. We're also working on and have created an AI tutor and a whiteboard that is based on how teachers give their students hints throughout the Zoom meeting. And what this whiteboard is supposed to do is it will see what the student writes on the whiteboard and give them hints based on how far they are through a problem. So I think right now we are sort of just pairing students and coaches and giving the coaches the tools to teach the best they can.
Yeah, that's an interesting comment because I've been interviewing just a ton of young adults, teens, both in middle schools and high schools, and it's really interesting how some of them are using AI now more as a tutor, right? Like they're in class or listening to their instructor. The instructor is absolutely doesn't make any sense as to what it is that they're saying. So the student takes what they recorded on a specific app, and then they put it into AI and say, "Can you please make sense of this for me?" And then boop, all of a sudden it doesn't, and the student goes, "Oh, that modality actually worked with me. Now I understand what the teacher was trying to share." So my question to you, a follow-up question would be, is there some concern on your part that AI could kind of make what it is you're doing obsolete? Or have you decided that no, what we can do is harness the AI so that it's doing what we want it to do? So, more people are going to come and use this AI than somebody else's. Yeah, I hope
I
that
think
made sense.
uh, a big part of what we do is the math competitions portion. We're teaching math competition topics, and I think so far AI isn't a great teacher on its own. Like you can use it to explain the solution of problems, but the unique thing about one-on-one tutoring is that the tutor sort of holds the student accountable, and it sets goals that a large language model really couldn't, even if the student was motivated to try and make it do so. So right now, we think that at least for the next few years, we're really going to be able to harness AI as tools that teachers can use and be more productive and spend time actually engaging with the student instead of maybe creating content or responding to emails and stuff like that. We're just using AI as a way to connect the teacher and the student even further.
So based upon both of your experiences and your subject matter expert area, one in business, the other one more in the tech side of things, the math side of things, um, why is it then? Because I think you just touched upon it. Why do you think that the human element will always be needed in something like this, and that it would never be taken over by AI? What are your thoughts on that?
I feel like there's definitely a psychological aspect. I'm no like psychologist, but definitely even over Zoom, like face-to-face interactions are just a better way for people to learn. But then using tools like AI can enhance that, but then it still keeps the face-to-face aspect. And also humans have more adaptability as far as I'm aware so far. Um, so that just allows them to tailor the lesson plan more to the student.
I would also say, like, when you're watching a teacher teach in one of our classes, or when you're teaching yourself, there's something very subtle, like the questions that you ask the students, that you pick to ask, and the way in which you ask them, and the hints you decide to give. You need to observe, like, whether the student's fully focused, whether, like, how far they are in the problem, how much they're struggling. There's so many subtle things that you need to be able to observe through multiple mediums, like a camera, through, like, objectively how far they are, and stuff like that, that right now current AI tools just really can't do.
right now. Right. So, next question. I mean, your answers were just brilliant. I it just what you guys said, and this is exactly why I want to do these types of interviews, right? Because I still find that a lot of adults, and myself included, but even those younger than me, your parents, still think that this internet, this AI stuff, it's rotting kids' brains. And I'm listening to you guys right now, and it's not rotting your brains. If anything, it's kind of helping you to achieve your goals, right? And you understand the strengths and the weaknesses and how to use it so that it enhances learning rather than doing the learning for you, right? Which I think is brilliant. But my next question, as you expand, are there new services or features you plan to offer beyond competitive math tutoring?
Yeah, so we want to expand the AI portion. That's a service that we offer that we feel like it can really take us to the next level. It's a tool that we feel has really helped our students. And we've seen how effective our model has been. So we have discussed moving it into other fields like standardized testing prep for the states like SAT and ACT. But those discussions are for the future at this point. Ethan, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I'd definitely say the biggest thing that we are hoping to expand is bringing personalized education to as many people as we can in sort of this automated AI way. So I think like we were discussing, like features like the curriculum development feature, we hope to expand features like the whiteboard we hope to expand. And really the fundamental thing, I think we discussed this, but in our consultations, we sort of form an idea of the problem solving personality of our students. And I think we'd like to bring this to more subjects, not just math contests, but maybe writing. What kind of a writer is the student? What areas do they need to improve on? And then bringing that personalized approach to as many students as possible through leveraging the technology of the times, I would say.
Oh, Dominic, what do you think? How are you going to do that from a business standpoint? You're the
Yeah,
you're the you're the big brain on that topic. So how are you gonna attain that from a business perspective?
from a business perspective, it would take some refinement because we don't want to dilute the value of our brand right now, which is definitely like niche competition math, which is one of the reasons we've been able to reach so many clients is because there hasn't been like too much competition and too many other services in that specific field. So if we were to expand, we'd have to be very careful about how we went around marketing it and how we merged it with our current idea and our current topic. But I feel like there's definitely within the way that our students have been successful and the way that our coaches teach, there's definitely room to expand into other fields as long as we're careful with how we go around it.
Are you finding that teachers are a little threatened by this?
I would say right now we're really only doing math contest preparation, and at our
Okay.
school there's no math contest course yet, but maybe in the incredibly long term, I would think uh teachers can use a lot of the tools that we make to enhance their teaching. So I don't think teachers should really be scared, and I think education technology as a whole, at least for the near future, is going to help personalize learning and help make learning accessible to even more people.
How do I can you guys and package you? And what you just said there, both of you, is brilliant, right? Like I am finding that there are some educators that are really threatened by AI, right? And I'm also hearing a lot of parents because we've now presented over 680,000 teens from across our country, and tens of thousands of parents. And one of the things I'm starting to hear more and more is they're afraid how AI is going to take over the role of teaching. And my comeback to that is I don't think so. I think teachers are going to be able to use it to enhance their abilities, but it comes down to teaching the teachers how to use it, right?
Yeah.
That's what's really important. So
Exactly.
my next question is, what advice would you give other high school students who want to start their own business while still in school?
Yeah, so I remember back from when we first started, like the taking the first step is the most important thing. Like you have an idea, it might not be fully formulated and you might not have a vision for, I don't know, 6 months or a year. Like we did not know where this was going when we first started. But just taking that leap and just starting is the most important thing. It doesn't matter that you're a high schooler. Like you can still make a successful business.
Yeah. I would also say expanding on that, um, I think thinking in the really short term is really effective. Like, what can I do in the next 48 hours to get this started? And then what are the next steps in the next 48-hour window? I think thinking in the direct short term and not thinking too much about the vision for the next 2 years, but thinking just what can I do now is a really effective tool for students, because a lot of the times, and especially with the technology that we have available, there's a lot of things that we can do in the next 48 hours to help reach towards our goals. And I think also um, choosing something that you have a unique experience in, and in my case, math competitions, is something that can really help set you apart from other people who are trying to pursue business.
And so, looking ahead, do you envision this business continuing after graduation? And if so, how would you like it to evolve?
Yeah, of course. We see it. We have plans for the future, and we hope to continue it. And we hope that it continues to grow as much as possible, and we hope we can improve as much as we can on our current services, just improving one step at a time, one thing at a time, until it's as great a resource as it can be, and until it's helping students as much as it can.
Yeah, and I think it doesn't necessarily have to be under the name AMC Academy. I think this experience has taught us that education technology is something that we're both really interested in. And now we have experience building tools for educators and for students. So I think that has really affected the direction, at least of my academic pathway. And in higher education, I'll definitely be interested in pursuing projects in education technology, whether that be through AMC Academy or maybe even something bigger.
I guess that kind of allows me to segue into what are your future plans? Like, what are you guys considering as careers? Has this changed your path as to what you think you want to do in the future? Or like, what are your goals for the future for career paths? Like when I was in high school, I knew I wanted to be a police officer, right? So I became a police officer, right? So what about you guys? Like, what do you, is this going to remain a side hustle where it's turned into a business, or are you going to keep pushing this forward? In other words, is one of your exit strategies maybe to get this to the point where you have another company knocking on your door going, hey, we're really interested in what it is you're doing here. We'd like to purchase it, right? Buy it out from you. Have you guys thought about going on to Dragon's Den as a good example and doing a pitch there, right? Like, so what are some of your thoughts?
Yeah, so definitely, I don't think it's shifted my future goals since I went, because when I first got into it, I knew I wanted to go into business. I knew I wanted to study business, but I feel like this has kind of refined it and showed me what within business I might want to pursue. Like I am currently applying for university, both of us are, and I'm looking at lots of commerce programs, but I've been looking at programs that might help me refine this certain, like the entrepreneurial aspect or the marketing aspect of my business. So I feel like it's really helped me define my future path more. And as for the exit strategy, we have thought about it a little bit, but that's certainly an idea.
So it's still your baby. You're still building on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would
Ethan, what about
say,
you?
yeah, I would say for me, it's impacted my trajectory quite a bit. Originally in the ninth grade, I didn't have much idea of what I wanted to pursue in university.
Who
Maybe,
does, right? Come on,
yeah,
let's be honest, really,
yeah,
right?
exactly. But I knew it would maybe be something like engineering, maybe something like math. I remember a teacher in high school said you should always like follow what you're good at, because that's a good thing to sort of pursue. And so originally I was going into math, but I think now I'm actually quite interested in building things, and I think the best way to do that is through a field, maybe even like cognitive science. So in a few programs, I've applied for cognitive science because I think it sort of bridges this idea of like technical concepts and mathematics with psychology, and can help bring better education technology to different people around the world. I think that's like my new goal based on this pursuit. So it definitely has affected my trajectory quite a bit.
So how many clients do you guys have now on your platform?
Um, we actually have sort of transitioned a little bit. Originally, we were offering a lot of group classes, and through these group classes, we would teach a lot of students, but at a much lower rate, so it was much more accessible. But recently, because we've had less time for university, we've transitioned to private, what we call custom curriculum classes. So now we will basically just create a custom curriculum, and we're working with about um, 25 students at the current as we speak.
Perfect. And so for families who are watching this who maybe want to show it to their kids and see what it is you're doing, what's your website?
It's amcacademy.org.
And on that site, it explains who you are, what you do, all that kind of stuff.
Exactly. And
Awesome.
yeah, I think one thing about our website is a lot of the coaches on there actually started with us when they were seniors in high school, and they've gone on to pursue fields like mathematics in university. And I think working with students has helped them a lot. So I think we're always open to tutoring more students and happy and have coaches who have plenty of free time.
So what's your partner doing who dared to graduate last year? What university did he end up going to? What's he up to?
He's currently at UBC, and we still work with him. He's busy, and of course he's over in Vancouver now, so that makes it slightly more challenging. But he's still been a great asset to us, and we still work with him all the time.
Yep.
So I guess the last thing I want to do is for each one of you, what would be your message to the parents, to the educators, and to the teens that are watching this right now, specifically to youth, young adults your age, specifically when it comes to technology, learning, future, all that kind of stuff? And let's start with Dominic first.
Yeah, so I would say technology can often get a negative connotation, and I would really push back against that. It can be negative. Like, there are negative uses of technology, don't get me wrong, but it can also do great things, and it can be a really great way to develop, especially as an adolescent. And parents should really encourage their kids to explore technology in a positive, productive way. And as for AI, again, as we said before, it can be a great tool, and I don't think that it should have the negative connotation that it can be getting in education, because we should think of it more as a tool than as a threat.
All right. And then
Ethan.
yeah, I'd say yeah, like the times are changing with technology, and the world in 5 years will have a lot of new businesses and a lot of new tools. And I think learning to leverage all of the existing ones like AI, even just basic platforms like Zoom, Calendly, pursuing your goals through technology is a great way to help make yourself basically make it so that you won't lose a job in 5 years because you're adaptable. So I think working on adaptability is probably the most important thing for students and for parents, just encouraging students to pursue their passions through technology. I know my parents were very supportive and still are very supportive of everything I'm doing, and I just think having supportive parents that let you pursue your goals through technology is the best thing.
Okay, next question. Apple or Android? I'm joking. I'm joking.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
joking. Listen to you, right? So again, I just want to thank the two of you for the discussion that we had. That was our goal here at the White Hatter, is to shed more light on how teens and young adults today are using technology in positive ways, to demonstrate how it's not just about young people doing things online in a horrible, evil, ugly way. Like, I truly do believe that most teens are doing super cool and creative things online. They really are. And we older adults, we need to start acknowledging that fact. And you guys are two great examples of that thought process that I just had there. So again, I just want to thank the two of you for taking the time out of your day. You're probably missing lunch, and it's really important for athletes like you to eat lots. But again, I just want to thank you very much for participating in today's Q&A.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, thank you so much.